Hello everyone. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule and joining the training session for today. I welcome everyone for the Desktop Central training. So first and foremost, I'd like to get a quick confirmation from your end. Are you able to hear my voice and view the presentation? Please confirm me by commenting on chat. I'll just wait for a couple of guys to say as yes. All right, we got the confirmation. All right, let me introduce myself. So my name is Jay Kishan Poda, Senior Technical Consultant.
And I'm associated with Zoho Corporation from last 10 years. And I'll be the trainer today where I'm going to talk on the remote control topic training. So let's have a quick look on the training schedule. So as you know, this is a 7 weeks training program. And today's topic is remote control. Functionalities offered by Desktop Central. So this will be covered in 2 different time zones. First is 6:30 a.m. GMT, which is already done. Second is 11:30 a.m., which is going on. And rest of the topics will be covered as per the date and time shown on your screen. So all the training sessions will be recorded and will be published in our website. So you can go to desktopcentral.com/training.html to see the recorded videos. We're also going to share you the recorded file later on via email to all the registered attendees. All right. So today's topic is remote control and tools offered by Desktop Central. Let's go for walkthrough on the agenda. So what is the topic today? So first and foremost, the overview of what is remote control, how it really works in the backend. And then I've taken a few real-time scenarios or requirement from a day-to-day IT help desk point of view so that I can explain the different features offered by Desktop Central, how they can be leveraged in real time, like resolving the help desk ticket where the requirement for end user is to install Adobe Acrobat and troubleshoot the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. Then one of the end user ticket where IT technician has to troubleshoot for system slowness issue. Then how to enforce the IT policies on desktops, laptops. Then in an event or incident where Exchange server is down, how to notify the users about that on that kind of severity level event, and different scenarios and solutions which we came across based on our experience, and then followed by the questions at last. So any point of time, if you have any questions or doubts, feel free to put in the chat section. So I have an expert panel sitting next to me who will be answering your questions then and there. And we're also going to collect most of the questions which are raised towards the end of my presentation for the larger audience view. All right. So as of now, you can take remote control of any Mac or Apple Windows machines. So right from Windows XP to Windows 2010, it's supported. Even the Mac machines can be taken remote control via Desktop Central. Next is the Desktop Central architecture. So a few of the guys who are new to the product or just joined the training sessions, so I want to give you a quick overview on the product architecture, how it really works. So as most of you guys know, this is a client server architecture application. So you'll have your Desktop Central server installed in your head office, and you'll have a clients managed locally who will be talking to the local server and taking the task and executing on the client machine. If you have a branch offices, then we recommend to have distribution servers placed in the branch office so that it can help you in replicating the patches and software from the main server to the local remote office machines out there. And we also support managing of mobile users, that is actually the roaming users. You can manage them over the internet by doing NATing on your firewall, that is network address translation. So you can manage local office, branch office, as well as roaming users through Desktop Central. Then let's go through the ports used by Desktop Central. So these are different components involved in the product, and we do support all different type of ports, right from HTTP to HTTPS, TCP and UDP. So for specifically on Desktop Central server component, you have H8220, On remote control perspective, for today we use port 8443, which is actually HTTPS. And for voice and video chat, we use UDP port 8443. So to know more on the ports, you can just go to desktopcentral.com/ports. You have a complete article on that. All right, next is 90-minute refresh policy. So just to explain you, let's take a scenario where you might wonder what is this policy. So first to explain, this is the agent server communication time interval, where in every 90 minutes our agent checks for the server for any kind of task available for deployment. So let's imagine that you're managing somewhere around 900 computers in your network, and all of them are communicating to the server at the same time, which might choke up your network bandwidth. At the same time, it might impact your server CPU performance. So as a system admin, which you do not really want, right? So to handle this scenario, we have a feature called 90 minutes policy, where the desktop central server will streamline this agent server communication in a balanced manner, so that in first minute, only 10 computers will take the task and execute on the client machines. And on second minute, next set of 10 machines will communicate and take the job and execute, and so on. Within 90 minutes, all the 900 computers will communicate to the server, take the job, and execute on respective local client machines. So in this way, the server ensures that the distribution of the task is done in a balanced manner without impacting your network bandwidth. So that is what the 90 minutes policy is all about. All right, so now to explain the remote control functionality on real-time world. So I've taken a scenario where the technician has a requirement of resolving a help desk ticket. So let's assume that end user Bob is one of the employee who has sent the help desk request, and in the service desk plus, the technician, whose name is John, he got the ticket assigned. So John logs into his IT help desk SDP, and he opens the ticket, and he finds that there are two specific requirements or concern the end user has raised. The first is installing of Adobe Acrobat application, and second is Wi-Fi connection troubleshooting, which needs to be done. So these are two activities which John needs to be performed to help resolve the ticket raised by Bob. So to go into that and how in real time John can log into Desktop Central, how he can leverage Desktop Central remote control to perform this activity. So to explain that, I will go live to the product. That is our Desktop Central. So this is a local server which I'm running. So for the better understanding of everyone, I'm going to log in as John. So this is how the product looks like. So first and foremost thing, like as you know, this is a client server architecture. So John ensures that the Bob, the end user who has raised the request, he has that machine added under Desktop Central and has agent installed or not. So for that, he can go to the admin tab, scope of management, computers tab. So this is the place basically where we add the machines and push the agents. So here you can come and you can search for the machine name if he knows which logs in, and he confirms whether the end user, wherever Bob logs in, the machine is added and agent installed on that. Once he confirms that machine is added and it is managed via Desktop Central, then he can go to the tools and go to the remote control. So this is the place where John can go ahead and take a remote access of the machine. So first and foremost, I will just search for the end user Bob, because I'm not sure which machine is logged in. So I'll just search by the username called Bob. I can see Bob has logged in on the machine called DCOST-W10. All right. Now I've seen that there are two different users logged in on the same machine, but my requirement is to log in as specific Bob session. So if you see next to the connect button, there is 3 dots. I'll click on that, and that will show the list of available users on that machine. So I'll connect on the Bob session machine. So before going to Bob session, there are some options here. There's a small checkbox called prompt the user for confirmation. So if you check this box and then click on connect, it's gonna ask for the permission from the end user to allow the access of this machine. So that is something, one of the best practice people can follow for better auditing and authorization. If not, you can just uncheck it and connect right away. So I'm going ahead and connecting to Bob session. As soon as you click on the session invite or connect, you see the pop-up coming up, which will be asking for reason why he wants to take remote access of the machine. So in some of the organizations like healthcare or military sections, they are having a best practice, or I would say requirement, to always log the reason why you want to take a remote. So that can be helped later on for better auditing and reporting purpose. So for now, I'm just going to put the reason that since this request is raised and we have a requirement to work on this ticket. So I've just put that and click on connect. So all right, it's a matter of few seconds. You can see I have immediately connected to Bob's machine. So as you can see, there are multiple monitors which Bob is using. So the Desktop Central does support multi-monitor view. So you can very well decide you have a screen 1, screen 2, screen 3. So there are 3 different monitors which Bob is using. So I can go to, let's say, monitor number 1. I can very well toggle which monitor I have to use. I can also decide what layout I want to be connected. So for now, I'm going to go for screen 1. And you can see in the right hand side, we are going to show all different screens under one single monitor. So if I want, I can quickly even switch over. So this is introduced in our latest build, so multi-monitor support is also available. Not only that, if I want, I can also decide what should be the layout. So if you see, you have an option to change the layout too. However, I want a horizontal way or a vertical way. So for now, we're going to change the layout. Sorry for that. Now, if I want, I can even go for a full screen. I can just hide that out. And left hand side, if you see, there are all the different options available, which I'm going to explain shortly. So let's go for a full screen for better viewing. All right, so now I have a control of Bob's machine. Now I'll go for my requirement. So the first and foremost requirement was to install the Adobe Acrobat application. So for that, as this is a commercial app, I'm sure most of the administrators will keep that particular app in one of a local network share repository, which you want to access. So I can very well open the Explorer and I can go ahead and access it. But in normal case, like since this is a network share, you do not want that to be exposed to the end user Bob immediately. So somehow I want that to be hidden. I don't want to expose my local repository information. So whether I can hide that? Yes. For that, we have a feature here where you can black out the screen so that Bob cannot see what I'm doing, and where I'm going to access the network share. So I can very well go ahead and black out the screen. So now Bob cannot see what I am doing. Now I can go ahead and access the network share. So this is Explorer. So this has gone to different screens. That's how I've done a quick switch over to screen number 3. And I can go ahead and let's say I've accessed the network share. So during the installation, I found since this is a commercial app, it requires a license file to install. So now this is a commercial license file, so I have to transfer somehow that license volume license key during the installation, which is something there in my local machine. So I want to quickly transfer to the client machine so that I can go ahead and install the Adobe package. How to go about it? So for that, again, we have a feature called file transfer, which is built in. Very well, I can use the file transfer, and I can, matter of few seconds, I can transfer the file. So let's say I'm going back to my local machine, users, and I'm going to my desktop, and this is XML file which I want to transfer to Bob's machine. So select the file, transfer it. That's it. In matter of few seconds, it is transferred. I can close that. I can go ahead and check the desktop. So I'll minimize the screen. So what I'm doing all is real time. I've transferred the file successfully on the client machine. Now I go back to the desktop, the screen number 1, and I can see the file is successfully copied on the live session. So now since my file is copied, I can very well go ahead and install the Adobe application, whatever the package. So let's assume that I've successfully installed the Adobe package. Now comes the second requirement of troubleshooting the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So for Wi-Fi troubleshooting, again, we have a quick launch features which you can make use of, like if you want to access the command prompt. Quickly, I want to open a command prompt and run some commands so I can check the settings. And let's assume that, with my limited knowledge, I tried my best to troubleshoot the Wi-Fi connectivity. I've checked the normal troubleshooting steps, but somehow I was not able to resolve the issue. And I want my colleagues' help, who is actually more tech savvy or more knowledgeable on troubleshooting the network related issues. So I want him to join my same existing session and have a look whether he can help me out in fixing the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So let's assume that I have called my colleague Peter and I requested him to join on the same session from his machine and see whether he can help me out in fixing this issue. So I'll go back and I will try to log in as Peter in another session. So I have another browser open locally, and I'm logging as Peter, as one of his senior tech. And I go to the tools, go to remote control. I'll search for the machine up and running. I can see this is a session, Bob, which is actually running right now. So all I need to do is just click on view desktop. And that's it. I can see I've successfully connected to the existing session. So by default, the control will be in the view only mode. So if I want to take control of a machine, I have to go and click on active mode. So now I have full control of that machine. I can go ahead and I can very well go ahead and troubleshoot the issue. So let's assume that Peter has spent a couple of minutes, and with his expertise, he was able to resolve the reported issue in couple of minutes. But he has mentioned that since some troubleshooting was performed on network card, he want the client machine to be rebooted. So only when we reboot our next system reboot, the Wi-Fi issue will be fixed permanently. So I've thanked Peter that he is able to resolve the issue. So let's assume that Peter is done with this session, and I can go ahead and close it out. So I'm leaving this session and I'm going back to my existing session as John. So I have the control back of my machine. Now, since Peter was able to help me out in fixing the Wi-Fi connectivity issue, and he had also mentioned the machine needs a reboot. So now I have to go back and explain Bob that both of the issues or requirement what he mentioned is resolved, but it needs a system reboot. Whether he's okay, since it's a production hours, I need to take a permission from Bob to whether he's okay with the system reboot. So as you remember, we had blackened out the screen, so I'm sure Bob cannot see what we're doing. So I'm gonna again revoke the blackout monitor so he can see or he can have a control of his machine back. So now I have to inform Bob whether I basically have to take a permission, whether he's okay to go ahead and go system reboot. So I have a feature again inbuilt. Without calling him or disturbing him, I can just make use of inbuilt chat functionality. So where you have a text chat, voice call, as well as video call. So for now, I'm going to use the text chat only to inform and get his permission. So I have a quick text ready with me. I'm going to use a text chat and notify him that, hey Bob, I'm sorry, this was the previous one. Let's say, hey Bob, we are done with the troubleshooting. Sorry for my typo. We are going to reboot the machine. Is it okay with you? So let's just put that, and I'm just going to wait for his confirmation. So let's assume that we waited for a few seconds and for his confirmation. All right, we got the confirmation, so we just say thanks to him, and we're gonna go ahead and close the chat session. That's it. So this was all interactive way how I got the permission. So I can very well go ahead and reboot the machine. So even for reboot, you don't need to go for a traditional reboot. We have a feature again inbuilt under quick launch where you have a power options, and I can just send the reboot command right off from my existing session itself. And this will reboot and reconnect automatically. If you're still having the session running, it will reconnect automatically. All right. So as you've seen, how collaboratively we work together, me and my colleague Peter, both were able to work together and able to fix the issue what reported by the end user, and I was able to resolve both the requirements from Bob. So I'm very well go ahead and I can close the session if I want. I just want to bring some other points where you can see the additional features offered here. Like left hand side, you can send Ctrl-Alt-Delete command. You can do Alt-Tab if required. You can even disable the keyboard and mouse. And the other features like you have a quick launch with other things like you want to access quick control panel, device manager. So these are some real shortcuts which you can use in real-time environment. And not only that, you can also see in left and right hand side, you can even see who is remotely connected. So as end user, he will be more assured that who is connected to his machine. So those kind of options are also there. All right then, so let's go ahead and close this remote session out. That's it. So I've successfully ended the remote connection. All right, so let's go back to my presentation. So this is how we work together and able to resolve the help desk request from Bob. All right, so now you might wonder that I've shown you the live presentation of how the remote control worked in real time. Now I just want to give you even walkthrough on what happens actually in the backend, how the remote control works. So first thing, there are multiple components involved in the product. So let's assume the technician one, that's John, he logs in and he clicks on connect. And what happens in the backend? As soon as you click on connect, it sends the request to the desktop central server where we have two different components running. One is the gateway component, another is notification server component which runs on port 8027. So it listens the request and it sends the request back to the target client where we have a desktop central agent running. So the agent listens to the request and it initiates the remote control service which captures the images and sends back to the desktop central server where the gateway listens that and send forward back to the technician one. So in the viewer machine, which is technician one, he can see the target machine desktop. And in other scenarios where, as I said, we also support the multi-technician view. So when the Peter logs in from his machine, when he clicks on connect, that sends a request back to the desktop central server where the gateway server component has intelligence to already know that is existing session running. So it listens to the request and forward the same request which came from target client and forward back to the technician 2 viewer machine. And that's how the technician 2 can see the same existing session. So that what goes in the back end of remote control. All right, so let's just quickly summarize what we done in that live session which I've shown to you. I've shown how the user permission works, that is getting the user prompt confirmation. We use the HTML5 viewer, which has that features which we should walk through up. How we use the blackout the monitor on the requirement. We've shown the file transfer and multi-viewer, that were how we collaboratively work together and shown the different features offered on the real-time remote control session. So these just the features which we walk through. All right, that brings to the topic number 1. So we'll go to the next scenario where the troubleshooting of system slowness. So let's assume that there's another ticket raised by the same end user Bob where he reported system slowness issue. And John, the technician, again got the ticket from him. Now he has to troubleshoot, how he can go ahead and troubleshoot. So what are the points he can look into it? The first thing, like whenever reports a system slowness, I'm sure they are first thing you check what are the process running or services running. So I'll show you how to connect to the task manager and services, how it interactively you can use the chat window, and you can perform the system hard drive performance tools like check disk cleanup, defrag. These are different tools which are offered. You can use in real time. How to connect to remote command prompt, as well as do the event viewer analysis. So all these features activities can be done through the tools section offered by Desktop Central. So let me show you live how we can go ahead and do that. So for that, I'll go back to my local setup running here. We'll go as John, the technician, once again. So first and foremost, we'll go to System Manager, and I will search for the end user Bob. This is a machine. So if you see under action, there is something called manage. You just click on that and click on processes. So this is more of I'm doing a offline troubleshooting, in other words. So let's assume that Bob is working in the production hours, and we cannot go ahead and take a remote control of his machine right now. So how I can help him out offline without taking control of his machine? So System Manager is a tool which can help you out. So as you can see, just matter of few seconds, it has done the real-time scanning, and it has shown up, it listed what are the processes running right now on his machine. If you want, you can very well sort it out by the CPU uses. So you went through the process running, and if you suspect any unwanted process running, you can very well kill the process. That's pretty much possible. Not only that, you can also get the process ID information. You can go through with that. You get the priority set on that. Next is services. You can even go through the list of services running, and you can very well sort it out with the status. What are the services running right now? You go through one by one, and if you suspect any unwanted service is running, I can very well stop the service, or I can even restart the service remotely in just matter of few seconds. Next tool is remote command prompt, which can be very handy. So I can very well take remote of command prompt, and I can execute whatever commands I want, ipconfig, or you want to have a certain specific commands which you want to execute. Next is registry access, again, which can be very helpful. You want to check in registry values. If you just do the quick search against different hypes, so you can go to local machine or current user. You can even navigate and browse it down to specific registry hype, which can be handy too. And then the event viewer logs. Again, this can be very helpful in case of troubleshooting. So you can see what are the errors, what are the events happened, which can be an application level. It can be an I browser if you want, or security or system. If you want, you can even filter out. So if you want to get filter events, so you want to just go through whatever the warnings and errors allow. So only those will be shown to you. And if required, you can even bring in more columns for the extra information. So this can be very handy in Windows PowerShell or hardware events. The next is shared. So what are the local shares mapped on that machine? What are the existing sessions running? Different printers connected to the machine right now. Even the groups, local groups which are being created, you can even see the members of the local groups. So who are the members of local administrator groups? Who are the power users locally there? Then the list of software. So whatever software is running or installed on that machine. You get the software name, the version information, and if you want, you can even uninstall the software from this view. So if it's a standard MSI package, you can very well uninstall it from here. And last is the users list. So you can even see what are the list of local users on that machine. So overall, you have a complete access, a lot of information under one single pane of glass. And you can perform a lot of remote activities without even taking remote control of the machine. So let's assume that I went through with all the processes and the services, but somehow I was not able to find out or drill it down whether a specific process which might cause the system slowness issue. So I am going ahead and closing this out. So system manager was not able to really give the proper information about the system slowness issue. So next thing, what I can do. So system slowness, you're done. Now next suspect might be the hard drive performance. So that might be the cause. So for that, we're going to use system tools. So system tools here, we have a local Windows diagnostic tools like check disk, disk cleanup, defrag. I can schedule the task and I can perform the remote cleanup. So I'm just going to edit one of the tasks. But I can see there are 3 different tools offered like check disk, disk cleanup, and defrag. Go ahead and you can decide what are the volumes I want to perform the check disk, whether I want to go for verbose mode or just fix the errors on disk alone or just do a quick check. Then what are the files I want to clean up? You want all the temp files to be cleaned up, or specific browser cache files, or the backup files, or in general, whatever offline files you want to clean up. So you have all the options. Whatever files you want to clean up, you can just select it and go ahead. And then what are the disk? What are the volumes you want to perform the defrag activity? So you can even bring in more volumes. And I can specifically select what kind of operation type you want to perform. You just want to do a analysis or disk analyze, or you want to even perform the defrag and analyze. So if you can see, there's a difference. If you go for operation type, analyze and defrag, this is what our main requirement right now. You can even decide the priority. So you want to go for a lower priority or a normal priority. So the difference here is depends what time you're scheduling this defrag activity. So if you're scheduling during working hours, then you might have to go for a normal priority. So that might again runs on the more system resources, so which may impact the user activity. So it's better to go for a lower priority. But if you're doing for a non-working hours or weekends, then you can set it as a normal priority. Then even the defragmentation mode. So you want to just go for a verbose mode, which will give you the complete fragmentation statistics of each volume, or you want to just run the parallel at the background. That's it. And then select which users you want to, or which computers, in other words, you want to perform this task. You want to go for specific local office, some specific machines, or you can even go for remote office. And you can filter it down again. If you want to go for specific OU or a AD group or list of computers, you can even create custom groups within the product. You can point to normal static custom groups or dynamic custom groups, or IP range or operating system type. So you have all the flexibility based on the requirement. You can point which target machines you want to perform this task. And then you have to give the credentials. Since this is an administrative level task, you have to give the domain administrator account, one of the domain account credentials. And you can even set some conditions. So conditions like you want to start this job and the computer is idle for maybe 60 minutes. More than 60 minutes, the job will be started automatically. Then you can even set the scheduler. So how frequently you want to perform this task. You want to just do it only once in a week, or you want to go for a weekly basis or a monthly basis, or every system startup. You can set your date and time based on your requirement. So that's it. Go ahead, and so I'm going to go for once, let's say it's Sunday. And I can also say reboot the client machines after executing the system tools. So I'll go ahead and reboot the machine and deploy. That's it. Once the job is created, once the scheduler is done, next you can come in and you can see the status, what exactly happened. So how many machines successfully perform this task. All right, so I have successfully scheduled the system check disk and defrag process, let's say for tonight, and I want to inform the Bob when tomorrow once he comes in, work on the machine for a couple of hours, and you want him to update you on the status of how he felt on the performance of the machine. So again, to inform him, you can again make use of the real-time chat tool which we have. So you can send quickly a text chat to select which machines he logged in and use the chat functionalities. You can send the message to him, that you have done the troubleshooting and he has just want to check that. So have a chat ready for me. So this is a text just to notify that you've done the changes, you've scheduled the job, and tomorrow morning when he comes into the office, he can work on the machine and update the status so that you can go ahead and close the ticket. So just the information. All right. So this is how I can use the, again, real-time chat. All right, so let's go back to my presentation. So this was again, the real-time troubleshooting on offline mode. We're using the system manager and the system tools and the chat functionalities. All right, let's go to the topic number 3 of enforcing the IT policies on the desktops. All right, so let's assume that my IT manager has given instructions to our team that from today we're going to bring some IT policies, power management changes, where we want to schedule tasks where you want to turn off the machines during non-working hours so that you can save the power, so you can have a lower energy bills. So we have a provision to remotely shut down and restart the machine. You can even use the wake on LAN tool to turn on the machines, and you can even schedule the shutdown task as well as waking up the machines. So let's see how you can perform these activities. What are the tools you can use to perform these policy changes in your network? So let's go back to the local setup. So first and foremost thing is a remote shutdown. So this is a tool where you can even do an immediate shutdown if required. You just need to add the machine which you want to perform the shutdown task. This is the on-demand options. You can perform a shutdown, restart, even hibernation, or lock the machines. But for now, my requirement is to go ahead and schedule the shutdown. So I already have one job created. I'm just going to edit that. So give a task name. Let's say schedule shutdown for Chicago site. Under operations, I can decide what activity you want to perform. So I'll go for shutdown for now. And you have different options which you can configure. So like if you're deploying, let's say during business hours, you can go for do not disturb users logged in, Or if you want to allow the users to skip or postpone the operation, you can even do that. Or go for force shutdown. Since you're doing for non-business hours, you can give some time, let's say 300 seconds, that is 5 minutes, so the end user can save his task if anyone is working on it. At the same time, you can also customize the message so they get a pop-up and you can show the message to them. So these are the options you can configure. And then select the machines on which you want to perform this activity. You can specifically point to a custom group, or you can browse and select the machines where you want to schedule this task. So let's assume that I've already added a couple of machines, and then the scheduler. So you want to set on daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis. So my requirement is going for a daily basis. So I'll go for, let's say from today or from tonight, we're gonna schedule this, let's say at 9:30 p.m. or maybe let's say 11:30, and go ahead and save the task. That's it. So next day you can come in and you can see the status, what exactly happened on the job, how many successfully shut down. All right, so we are done the scheduler of shutting down the machine. Next comes the Wake on LAN tool, through which you can turn on the machines which are turned off right now. So this can again be a on-demand activity. If you want to do any immediate wake up, you can even do that. Just come here, add the machines which you want to wake up right now, or you can even schedule the wake up task. So as you know, we have done a schedule shutdown, and I want the same set of machines to be turned on every morning next day at 6 a.m. So I'm just gonna modify the existing task. You give a task in the same Chicago site machines. So by default, we use UDP port 7 for the Wake on LAN, and you're gonna add the computer the same set of machines which we added for shutting down, and then the scheduler. So on daily basis, or weekly or monthly. So for now, again, we're going to go for a daily basis. So from next day morning, we're going to start from 6 a.m. and schedule it. That's it. So I've successfully scheduled the wake up task. I can come back and I can see the status, what happened with the wake up. So there are some prerequisites you have to make, ensure for Wake on LAN to work. Like you have to ensure that the IP broadcast is directed towards the router. So if you have different subnets, you ensure that IP broadcast is allowed on router level. And if in case you are deploying or setting up the Wake on LAN tasks for different subnets, you have to ensure that at least one machine is alive or up and running on that subnet machine for the other machines Wake on LAN to work. So you need at least one machine to be live in every subnet. So that's prerequisites. Apart from that, again, on the machine level and BIOS level, you have to ensure the Wake on LAN is enabled. So even that is something you have to take care of. All right. So with the combination of these two, you can set up or schedule the everyday shutdown and turning on the machines every morning. So you have done that. You have set both the jobs and they are running fine. But you want to know whether what are the real changes. So what is the impact of bringing down these power management policies? So for that, we have a report called Power Management Report. We go to Reports tab, Power Management Reports, System Uptime Report. So this will give you an idea what is the total uptime, what is the total downtime of the machines. So you can pull the data before bringing the policies, what was the total uptime, downtime of the machines. I'm sure you'll have uptime as more. After bringing in the policies, you can observe for a week or a month, and then you can see the results. So this gives you idea, what is the real-time changes. You can also go for a detailed view to see the machine level information, the startup time or shutdown time. You can even filter it based on different domains or a specific time period. So that will give you the idea on the total uptime and downtime of the machines. So this report can be handy. If you want, you can even export the report manually, or you can even schedule this report. All right, guys, so that's how you can go ahead and enforce the IT policy. So I've shown you how to make use of both the tools, how to schedule the jobs, and how you can deploy to different set of groups. All right, topic number 4. I would say this is more of a real-time incident or event where your Exchange server is down, which is a very critical issue on level 5. So again, in this case, you cannot even really send an email to the employees that your Exchange server is down, right? So how to go about it? How to notify the users that your Exchange server is down? So for that, we have a tool called announcement. If you go to tools section, using this announcement tool, you can make a real-time update to the end users. So you can create an announcement. I'll just edit the existing one. You can set announcement title, and you can set the message which you want to convey. Just a brief, like you're aware of the Exchange server issues down and your team is working on it with higher priority. So please do not raise any ticket or calls to IT help desk. And you can set the frequency, so what they get is a pop-up on the screen. So you can say you want to notify that only once or multiple times. Let's say in every 15 minutes they get a pop-up. And you can set your start time or end time, how frequently you want to show the pop-up, and to which users. So it may not be for all the machines. You can specifically say for specific users or specific entire domain itself, or even remote office level, and save it. That's it. As soon as save, as soon as time kicks in, they get a pop-up on the screen. Okay, so and the message will be conveyed to them. So this Exchange server is just one of the event. There might be a lot of other real-time users or scenarios which you can make use of. Like let's say your printer is down, or one of the flow, your printer is not working, and you're getting a lot of calls for that. So you just want to make a announcement to them that we are aware of it. So just please do not raise additional tickets. Or even let's say schedule fire drill is coming up on next week. You can even make a announcement using that. So there are some real-time case which you can leverage the announcement to. And just to show you how the pop-up looks like, these are the end user view. This is how the pop-up will look like on the end user machine. So this is how the announcement title, and this is a message. So that's how the announcement tool can be leveraged. All right, so this brings to the end of the real-time scenarios, real-time requirements, which how we can leverage different tools. So now we'll move on to the scenarios and solutions which we came across, and we can leverage Desktop Central. All right, take scenario number 1. How do I measure the time spent by technicians who are handling the tickets related to desktops? Okay, so this is actually for a case where you have both Desktop Central and Service Desk Plus. If you're running both the applications in your network, now as you've seen before, taking the remote access, there's a provision to put the reason. So let me take you to the Desktop Central once again, so you'll understand better. So we go to remote control. Let's say we go to the machine and we click on connect. If you notice this below the reason, it is a SDP request ID. So let's assume the technician is already working in one of the ticket, and he wants to take a remote of the same end user. So when you take a remote access, you can just mention the request ID here. So what it does, it's actually creates a work log and add it to the existing ticket. So once you click on connect, as soon as the end user starts the session, it will start tracking the time. And if you log into Service Desk, so let me log into Service Desk to show you how it looks in the real time. So I'm just going to log in, let's say as administrator, and I'm going to the request, and I'll take one of the requests where the technician has worked, that same user Bob. And if you notice, if you go to task, if you scroll down, there's where the work log details will be added, and I can see which was the technician who connected, and the description. There's nothing but the reason what he has given for taking remote of the machine. So this will calculate what was the total time he was in session, and that's how the work log details. You can have multiple work logs added, and you can also get the report on it, how much time you spent on the ticket. Now for this work log, this is something you need to configure when you do an integration between Service Desk and Desktop Central. That's the initial stage. When you set up the integration, Service Desk plus settings, you have features to integrate. Here there's an option called add work log and notes and resolution for remote connection. So to ensure that this option is checked, only then the work log will be added to the tickets. That's your initial stage when you do the integration. That is what, once you've done that, when you do a remote access, you'll add a work log information on the Service Desk. All right. Next, scenario number 2 is we would like to monitor the activities of the students in our school without their knowledge. Is this possible? All right, yes, it is possible. So I said this is one education departments where the faculties do want to monitor what the students are doing. So for that, you can go to Tools, Remote Control, Settings tab, and it's something called View Only Mode. You check this box, and then you click on Save Changes. Then you take a remote. The end user will not be known that someone is watching or viewing his machine. So you'll have only view only mode. You cannot make any changes. You cannot have any control. All you can do is just wait and watch. You can just monitor the user activity. Scenario number 3, we are a healthcare company that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. All right. So now the scenario is actually whether the remote control, can help out any kind of HIPAA compliance regulations. The answer is yes. So if you go to the remote control tool once again, if you go to the user confirmation, so as you know, as per the HIPAA compliant, one of the requirements is to protect the user privacy, which is very important nowadays. So now we have a provision where if you want, you can make a settings where it will be mandatory to take a permission from the end user before accessing his or her machine. You can have a user confirmation enabled. So every time when a technician wants to take a remote, it will prompt for the permission. And you can even make this as a permanent requirement. So no matter whichever technicians or administrators want to take a remote of a machine, it will be prompted for the permission. And once you make it as a permanent, you cannot disable on your own. You have to contact our support team if you want to revert the changes. So that's how you can enable the HIPAA compliant as far as remote control is concerned. Then scenario number 4, installing and configuring IS on the remote machine is a complex task. I want to document the process and use it as a training material for newcomers. Is this possible? Yes. So as it is one of the classic example, what is asking is actually recording. Yes, we do have a feature called screen recording, where you can enable the recording functionality, so you can track what the technician has done during the web session. So you can even record it and you can use it later on as a training material. So you have an option to set which codec file you want to use. What should the color quality? You want to just bring it as lower if you want. And you also say like delete the recorded files if it exceeds on a specific space, let's say 5 GB. You can also enable the user notification, so the end users will be aware that this session has been recorded. So that is possible. Next scenario is I find my remote sessions are slow when I am accessing a computer in a different country or roaming users. How do I fix it? Okay, so as I mentioned, this is specifically for the guys who are in different states or different country, or the roaming users who are traveling, who is not part of your VPN. So you might face a bit of lag when you take a remote access of those machines. So to improve the performance, you go to the performance tab and you can edit the remote office. Let's say for roaming users, you have a remote office for managing those laptops. You can change the compression settings. So by default, it will be best. You can move it to fast, and you can bring down the color quality. By default, it will be high, and bring it down to medium or low, and save it. So once you move it to fast and lower the color quality, definitely you will see a bit of improvement in the performance. Next scenario is one of the employees suspects at an unauthorized remote access to his or her machine and has raised this concern to IT manager. Is there a way to audit the remote connections to his or her machine? All right, so as IT manager, this is a very serious scenario and he wants to know what is going on, as he has to find out who has taken the control of that employee's machine. So for that we have a complete auditing. So you go to history tab and you can search specifically for that machine where the end user has reported. Let's say the same user, oh sorry, this is a technician, so we'll go for Peter, and you can find out what are the machines, or if you know the machine name, you can go for machine name. So this will have a complete information, which technician took control of which machine, and how long he was in session. And if in case you have enabled the recording, you can download the recorded files from here. So complete auditing is done, so you can get the better accountability as well as you have better authorization. So, and you can very well, you can export into PDF or CSV or XLS file this report, which you can share to your management. So you have the auditing and as well as tracking of every remote session made. All right, so that brings to the end of scenarios and solutions. So now let's go into the questions round. So I'll just give a few seconds for my team to quickly update the questions. All right, so question number 1, some of the users are denied permission to use phones in our business. Before I establish a remote connection, is there a way to interact with the end user other than the usual chat? All right, so yes, we do have the provision. So recently we have enhanced our chat functionality where we have introduced audio and video chat. So if you go to tools, chat, if you see there are 2 additional icons now. So let's assume I want to connect to Bob, and I'll select which machines he logged in, and I can go ahead. If I want to make a voice call, you can just go ahead and make a voice call. It'll show the prompt for the first time. You can configure if you're using a certificate, and it'll connect to the audio call. Same way, if you want to go for a video call, you can even go ahead for the video call too, to get a remote access of the machine. So if you have a certificate, first time you have to just configure the advanced settings and allow that. After that, it's gonna connect automatically. So yes, you can do a voice and video call. Question number 2 is, I'm running Desktop Central app on my mobile device. Can I initiate remote control via app? All right, so some of you are aware that we also have a mobile app for Desktop Central Server applications. So if you're running that on your iOS or Android phones, you can even take a remote control via that app. So for that, you log into your app, and I have taken a quick screenshots so that you can know how to go ahead. So once you log in, let's say to your iPad, you go to your dashboard, and the bottom left you have a remote control. Go into that and search for the machine which you want to connect, and click on the desktop icon, and that's gonna prompt you, the same thing. What is the reason you want to take a connect remote access? Just click on connect, and that's how in a matter of few seconds you will be having full control of the remote machine. And these are some instructions on how to make use real-time use, how to tap the screens, how to press and drag, pinch in, pinch out, and long press. These are the instructions for the first time. Once you've done that, this is how it look like when you have a full access of the remote machine in an iPad. And in the left hand side, you can see there all the features which are already available when you do into traditional desktop view. So that's how you can use the Desktop Central app. All right, question number 3, does the screen recording needs to be turned on before you establish the remote control session, or it can be turned on during the session? No, so it has to be done prior to the remote session. So you have to set the recording as yes and then take a remote access. It cannot be done on real time. Next question is, to allow multiple techs to work on the same remote connection, does that require additional license from ManageEngine? Well, the answer is no. You do not need any additional technician license. As long as he can log in from different browser instance, he can connect to the same existing session. But as a best practice, if you have a multi-technicians, in your environment, for better accountability and better, tracking and reporting purpose, we do always suggest to have multiple technician license. Right, move on to next questions. Will the remote control automatically reconnect after a reboot during the session? Yes, the answer is yes, it will reconnect automatically. Question number 6, my remote control screen shows port 8443 conflict. How do I resolve? All right, so 8443 is a default gateway port used by remote control function specifically. So my suggestion is, first and foremost, just check on the actual server, run the command netstat and find out which process or which application is using the 8443 and try to free up that, and then ensure, try to give remote control to use that same port. If in case you're not able to free up that port, then you can go ahead and very well change that. So go to remote control, go to settings tab, and scroll down. There is option to, you have option here to change the gateway port. Right, question number 7, is it possible to take remote control of a roaming user if the user is at home without the VPN tunnel? Well, the answer is yes, you can take a remote access. So for this, basically you have to do a NATing on your firewall. You have to open certain ports and you have to install the WAN agents. So once you connect via WAN agent, so you're going to connect via public IP, which will be exposed to internet. And once you have WAN agents running, so no matter wherever they are, you can still take a remote access of the machine over the internet. So this is some prerequisites you have to go through. You can contact our support team. We have actually an article how to manage the roaming users via Desktop Central. Right, question number 8, if you have a keyboard and mouse disabled, does it automatically disable it for the new tech sharing the session? Or if you leave the remote session and forgot to re-enable the mouse and keyboard, will it automatically get enabled for the users? All right, yes, the answer is yes. As soon as you disconnect the remote session, it will revert the changes back to the original. So the end user will have his control of mouse and keyboard back automatically. You don't need to worry about that. All right, so that brings to the end of the questions for today. So we tried our best to bring in all the questions possible. If in case we're not able to share any questions, we can answer you offline. All right, that brings to the end of today's training session, guys. So I'll request you to rate us on the scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. So as soon as you end the training session, you get a survey form. So please do share your feedbacks, suggestions, or comments. How did you like our training for today? Anything you like to share, any suggestions you like to make so that we can improve our next level. So I do request you to rate us and fill up the survey form. And if you like our training series, which is offered, so please do share that in our social media. Please make a shout. Love Desktop Central free training. You can shout it on Twitter. You can tweet about us. You can make a comment on Facebook, or you can even share about this on a LinkedIn account. We love to hear from you. All right, so next week we have a next topic coming up on configurations, USB management, agent and server management. A lot of things to share out there. So I request you guys to join in for next week, which is August 16, on the same different time zones. And I hope to see you on next week too. All right, guys, thank you. Thank you for joining the training session. I hope you liked the training for today. And this is Jay signing off for today. Thank you. Bye.